All right. Good afternoon or good morning. Um, what we did last time basically was was the last class, the first class on SQL. I think it was second class. Okay, it was first class. Good. So what we did was general introduction to SQL as one of the server-side programming language for creating and managing database, right? That is why I said SQL is a language for handling data. Now, for us as data analysts, the reason why we are mandated or we are advised to be familiar with this language because it helps us to analyze data directly from what? A website. So since it's the language of database, and every website has a place where it stores its data. And the language that is used to manage those data is called what? SQL. So which means that as a data analyst, you may not be able to what? To interact with data in database if you are not familiar with what? SQL. That is the reason why we are learning it. And I cited one major reason because somebody can as well say that after all, I have Power BI, I have Python. If I don't want to use SQL, I can use other tools, like I mentioned now, to do my analysis. But where you have issues that depending on how you are coming in as an employee, if you are coming in as a part-time employee, do not expect that the company will bestow 100% what trusts on you to the extent of releasing their website so that you can go there and download the data without any what compromise. So they will not trust you to that extent. They will rather insist that you should do your analysis all within the what? The website, which means that someone else must have logged you in, perform your what? Analysis, and then compute your findings either in PowerPoint, and then you submit your reports. What about the only way you can escape it is when they allow you or ask their webmaster, database manager, to export such data out of their website and send it to you. Then you have a privilege of using any tool to carry out your analysis. Okay? Now, but if you go to the developed locations or developed world, like US, UK, and the rest of them, most of their data reside in the cloud. So which means that an average business organization over there have websites. So if almost 90% of businesses running there have website, it is very certain that when you travel there, most of the data you'll be analyzing will be in what? Database. And that is the reason why it's a must learn. It's a must. Okay, so now I explained in that class that for you to be able to use SQL, you need to install some set of softwares, which I said you need to install a server, right? And I gave all the reason why the server is needed because SQL is a programming language. It is a server-side programming language. And I told us in that class that when a programming language is described as a server-side, what it means is that what? It needs a founder, a service. It needs an engine that empowers it. So it cannot stand on its own. So a program needs to fund it. Are you with me? A program needs to provide instruction for it to work. And that is why it is called server side. Now, we started by installing a server because I mentioned two softwares that are needed to be installed in your computer as a data analyst for you to be able to use SQL to analyze what? Data. I mentioned server, that is where we downloaded and installed my SQL server. Now, after that, in fact, we downloaded a version which is called MSI, the one that comprises both the server and the framework, which is the workbench. They can as well be downloaded separated. You can download them separately if you don't want, because if we have not used that MSI out of those options that were given to us, that will have only help us to download and install the server. Then we have to go and manually download the workbench. But to save time, we just consider the MSI version. Now, which means that the workbench must be connected to the server. If the server is the background engine that is funding it, there must be connectivity. So that is what I want to quickly show us now. So what we did last time is that we just installed it, and when we open it, this is what we get. That is why your own does not have this particular option, Okay. Because here, this is where I did the connection to the server so that I can have access to my development environment. Because what is the correlation between the server and the workbench? The server is the one that provides the services, while the workbench is a platform, is like notebook that we're using in Python, okay, that help us to bring all our data, objects, and series in one place, so that with the help of the query statement we are going to write through the services provided by the server, we'll be able to manipulate and draw insight from the data. So to start with, let's write how to connect the workbench. That is the topic I'm calling now. How to connect workbench with the SQL server. How to connect the workbench with the SQL server. How to connect the workbench with the SQL server. Are you with me? Now, note, after successfully installing the server and the workbench, they must be connected. After successfully installing the server, they must be connected. In order for the workbench, which is just the framework that emulates SQL, in order for the workbench, which is a framework that emulates SQL, to receive services from the server. That emulate SQL to receive services from the server. Am I communicating? Which is what I just explained. So let's quickly go through the practical steps on how to do the connection. Practical step number 1. Click on this icon. Look at it. It's called Add connection. Can you see this plus? You click on it. So once you click on it, an interface like this will be prompted. Like I said, you should just pay attention. I'll give us time to do it once I'm done with this section. Just make sure you are writing your step the way I am calling them. So once you click on that Add network or connection, you will have an interface like this. Now, on this interface, several things need to be configured for the connection to be established. Am I communicating? So the first thing is to specify your connection name. Specify your connection name. So let me give us a few seconds. Well, let's quickly click. Let's click. Let me see how fast you can go. So click on that connection icon quickly. Are you there?
Now, that place that says connection name, please put your name, put any name there. Put any name. Let's say Jude. Put any name. Are you with me? Now, then you should also be going back to your note to write your step. That's why I don't want us to be distracted before. Now, once you have entered then the connection name, the next thing is for you to specify your host name. So our host name IP address is this. So that one is default. You are not changing it. Host name. So it has already synchronized what? The host name. So we are not setting the host name. In other words, we are leaving host name what? Default, right? So you can indicate it like that in your notes. Host name should be left what? Default. Then ports. Generally, when it comes to data transmission within a network, there are allocated ports for different types of what? Transactions. So the ports, the global ports that SQL uses in communicating within a network is what? 3,300 and what? 6. That is SQL default word port. You must not change it. You must not change it. So we are also leaving that as what? Default. Am I communicating? We are leaving that as default. Now the next one, username. Your username is root. Because we don't want whereby to be asking us what for password. Now you go to password. Listen, under password, that password that you use when you were installing it, that is the password you pick. So you click here. When it brings out this, that password, you type it. So click on the password where you have stored in vaults. Yes, which means that what? It's just only this time. After this time, the next time you come, you click on the account or the connection, it's not going to be asking us for the password again. So enter the password that you used during the installation. After that, you click OK. Are you with me? Now, after OK, I have already installed. I cannot remember my password. That's why I'm skipping. Now, after OK, your own, click on test connection to know if the password is able to connect to the service provider, which is what? My SQL server. Click on test connection. If what you get is not connection successfully, what do you get? Connect to. Put the password and click OK. After OK, you now select test connection. Click OK. Now, under, what did you see there? Access denied. Access denied. Your password is not correct. This is going to be a serious challenge because I was singing it. You people should write down the password. All right, so now that we have set up the connection, so for us to log into the development environment, there is something I explained to us the other time, that every programmer needs a development environment to write his code, his or her code, and also execute them. So there is a keyword I used when I was defining Workbench. That Workbench is SQL emulator, right? Yeah. That allow us, if you say a software emulates, it means that what? That software understand. It can write and execute code written in what? That language called what? SQL. You cannot open MS Word now and write what? SQL code and expect that what? It will be executed. Why? Because what? MS Word is not SQL what? Emulator. That Workbench in this context is just the platform that allows to speak what? SQL. Because this SQL, the version that is incorporated in website is being implemented through phpMyAdmin. phpMyAdmin. Now, but we data and analysts, we are not advised to use that one because SQL code run across any platform. Because that one does not offer us a user-friendly what? Interface, where it can compile all our code and allow us to execute it when we feel like what? Executing them. But if you are using that one, once you execute once, it goes away. You can't recall it again except you apply a technique. So what I intend to do is this. This is the one that is prescribed for us as data what? Analyst. If you are going to sort for any remote job, they don't expect you to be using what? PHP what? My admin version. They are going to be asking you questions based on Workbench. And remember in that class, I said there are different SQL emulators. Why I choose Workbench, this is the one that is best described for data analysis. There is my SQL Studio. That one belongs to Microsoft. It also gives us what? A platform, a development environment where we can write and execute what? SQL what? Query statements. I'm trying to give us a background before we launch into it properly. So once we are done with this, thank God I have a website. So I will show us with maybe within 30 minutes how you can do the same thing you are doing here in a website. So that by tomorrow, if the company say you must run your analysis in their website, you know how to navigate. But the same code I'll be writing here now is the same code I'll be writing there. The only thing I will show is what? How you can navigate to where you can write those codes. Am I communicating? Good. Now, once you have set up your connection, now we are asking for an ID. Go back to your note now. Right. After setting up the connection, which we just did now, after setting up the connection, click on the connection file to access a development environment. Click on the connection file to access a development environment. To access a development environment. Are you with me? So now, if I click here, this is the connection file now. This one is the root that came, is the root that you always have. You are supposed to create your own. So once you click here now, you will notice that what it will take me to what. So this is the Workbench interface. As you can see here, this is the Workbench interface. So this is where you can write your code and execute them. Am I communicating? So this is where you can write your code and execute them. So these are some code that I've written when I was training the students. So we are going to start our own afresh so that you know how I came about what? All this code. You see, if you are coming from Python, SQL is very simple. My plan is to end the class next week because we don't have much work. There's no visualization in SQL. I've told you before. It is only that one in website I will show us that you can visualize. But this one, you cannot visualize. So which means that if you are mandated to analyze here, you have to choose another tool for your visualization. This same data, after you have used SQL to derive the aggregate analysis, the selection analysis that is best used for, you can take this same data, load it in Power BI, and do the what? The visualization, write your what? Your conclusion, and submit your report. Please, there is no law that says that as a data analyst, you must use only one tool to start your analysis and finish your analysis. Why are you not learning all of them? You should know the strength of each of them. So when it comes to that aspect, you use it. Then if your analysis is multi-level analysis, once you are done with the aspect SQL can handle, what do? You shift to what? To another tool. That is what makes you what? Versatile. And that's what the company want to employ because you know SQL, you know advanced Excel, you know Python. Let's go there. So the next thing I'm going to do is to explain the environment. You know, that is the principle of learning what? Applications. The first time you are introduced to application, the first thing you should do is to be acquainted to the what? To the environment in order to instigate some confidence in you so that you won't be coming here and be scared. So that takes us to my next topic. My next topic is what? my SQL workbench. So I will just quickly define it again, and then we'll look at its interface explanation. So what is my SQL workbench? So my SQL workbench is a recommended SQL emulator for data analysts. Is a recommended SQL emulator for what? Data analysts. Am I communicating? It helps data analysts to write and execute SQL query statements. It helps data analysts to write and execute SQL what? Query statements. SQL query statements. Do we understand that statement? Can you read it out again? Let me see. Okay. So what is SQL what? Query statements. Quickly. What is SQL query statements? How do we define it? Because we cannot do without these statements, without knowing what it is. Because, see, as a data analyst, this is what will be used to analyze data. What is our major goal here? Is to be able to write SQL query statements that can fetch meaningful what? Insights from what? A data set. Is for us to be able to speak SQL effectively so that we can use it to draw insights from the data. Let's define the query statement properly. SQL query statements can be defined as the collection of SQL commands. Can be defined as what? The collection of SQL command used in this context, data analysis, used to manipulate data for insights. Derivation, used to manipulate data for insights. Derivation. Use what? To manipulate data for insight what? Derivation. Okay? So that is the meaning of what? SQL what? Query statement. So we are going to look at what? SQL keyword. But we are coming to that. But what I want us to know at this point is for us to know what SQL what? Query statement is. In Excel, I gave us a bit meaning of what? What is query? In DBMS. What is DBMS? Database management what? System. Any SQL language you are using must follow the rules of what? Database what? Management system. Why? Because it is a database management language. The term query in database management system in handling data means to task. To task. So when we say query statement, can you see it now? Query statement. If the word query means what? To task. Query statement means what? The code, the command that will be written in order to task the data for what? In this case, to get insights that will influence decision what? Making. So now that you understand it, now I have enlightened us on why do we need what? Workbench. So in conclusion, why do we need workbench, sir? Why can't you stop at installing the server? Why do you proceeded to install the workbench from what I've defined so far now? Quickly. Who can tell us? So from what I've explained, you need an interface that can help you to write query what? Statements. And that interface is what? Workbench. Okay? You know why I am concerned about telling us all this? Because some of us, majority of us that are learning data analytics, we are not actually learning this so that we can go and be doing physical job. Majority want to do a freelancing job. That is what? Working from home. And when they are interviewing you, there are some statements they will use. If you claim you know SQL, they will ask you questions like this. Which server do you use? You see this kind of question. Which server do you use? Is it my SQL server? You say, yeah, I use what? My SQL server. We have just SQL server without the mine. I told you the reason why the mine is there the other time. Mine is what? The micron. That's the name of what? The inventor, right? So that mine is just to define the version that you are using. So if they ask you, which server do you use? My SQL what? Server. Then they can also ask you, which emulator do you use? Which framework do you use? Which platform do you use? I use what? My SQL workbench. Did you understand it? Okay. Now, let's quickly look at my SQL workbench interface explanation. Now that we understand what is my SQL workbench. Are we together? My SQL what? Workbench. Now, right. The MySQL workbench interface or environment is broken into different sections. It's broken into what? Different what? Section. And what are these sections? We are going to be recognizing them one after the other. We have the database design interface. We have the database design interface, which comprises the entity relationship. Which comprises the entity relationship. Which comprises the entity relationship. Now, let me point to this aspect to us so I understand. Look up here. The word entity means what? All these standalone word features. The whole of this place now, if I switch from schema to administration, so this is the entity. These are like standalone components coming from the MySQL server. These are the services. This, if you have not installed the server before the workbench, if you open the workbench, the whole of this place, nothing will display here. Because sometimes you can install the workbench without properly installing what? The server. And when you open it, how do you know that there is no what? Service. It is when you cannot find what? Anything here. So for us to be able to see something here, and this place is saying no object selected, so that what? That what? No connection. If you are seeing no connection here, just know that what? You have not linked what? The workbench with what? The server. That was the reason why I took us from what? The connection first. So what is seen as an object here is the table that I must have created. So now we have the schema. So the whole of this place, the whole of this database design is made up of administration and what? Schemas. Are you with me? So you have administration, you have what? Schemas. The word schema means database. Okay, so all these things that you are seeing now, they are called what? Database, which I'm going to teach us in a moment how to add your own. These are the ones I created when training the other what? Students. If you open your own now, you are not going to see this much. Just try it now. Just go to schema. How many of them do you see? You see just two. 3. Now, when we were installing it, please, I want to draw your attention to when we were installing. There was an option that says you want to inherit sample data that time, which I said automatically you have COVID-19 database or data set. That is what we are having there now. But if I want to bring in my own data, like that Amazon, I'm going to show you how you can bring it here. Are you with me? Good. So now I'm still explaining what the SQL, sorry, the workbench what interface. So we have just identified one session, which is what you call what database design, which is made up of what administration and what the schema. And the schema comprises of what the list of your database. All right, can I proceed? So the next section is the query editor interface. The query editor interface. The query editor interface. The query editor interface. Now, where is it before we define it? Look up. Look up. This is it. Let me create another one. Let me cancel this one I was working with. Let me go to a query, or let me go to File and select what? New Query tab. So this is it. So what is the function of this? Right, so that you know what you have to do within this environment. The query editor interface allows you to write, edit, and execute SQL queries. It allows you to write, edit, execute SQL queries. It can be summarized into query editor. It can be summarized into query editor, query builder, and query results. It can be summarized into query editor, query builder, and query results. Now, let me identify them. Look up. This is what? Query editor, this section here. Okay? Then here now, this is what? The output. This is where you get the results. So once I write an SQL query statement here now, it will display the what? The output here. And then the builder is this section. That's why I say what? It is divided into what? 3 aspects. Am I communicating? Hello? So now, there is another aspect I want us to quickly observe before I go to the next topic, which is addition, SQL what? Addition. Now, if, let's write it, the next section, SQL addition. So SQL addition allows us to exploit SQL keywords and their explanation. Allow us to exploit SQL keywords and their explanations. Am I communicating? So quickly, look up here. If, for example, I want to know the meaning of this, these are different SQL word query command that we are going to see how I'm going to be using them to draw insight from data. So let's assume that after training you, at some point, you have forgotten the meaning of what? Select. Instead of you calling Mr. Prosper, you can open it as, okay, let me find out what is select. You can see that what? There is comprehensive what? Explanation of it here. So this is just like tips where you can, like help in other program, like help, where you can, okay, ask question and then you get what? Clarification. So it's used to retrieve what? Rows selected from one or more what? Tables. Oh, now understand. Okay, thank you very much. Let me click here. I want to know the meaning of what? Update command. For the single table syntax, statement update column of what? Existing rows in the name table So you can scroll down and study. So it's just like additional word section. Are we together? Okay, now the next topic, database. How to create SQL database. That's the first practical word to do. So like I said, once I'm done with one, I will allow you to implement it. How to create what? SQL database. From the first class I took us, I mentioned database, where I say what? SQL basic syntax. We clarify the meaning of database, the meaning of table, the meaning of what? Row. Remember that class? Good. Now, and I said then that database is what? The collection of what? Tables. Table is made up of what? Attributes. And what? Rows. That's what? Record. Now, for you to load in your data set here, your data set is to be imported into a database because the data set is the table already. And if you remember, there was a diagram I drew that day where I drew a box like this, right? And I said, and I created another one, don't mind my drawing, that this is one data, this is what? A table. This is another what? This could be another table. Both of them are in what? One what? Database. So which means that a single database can hold what? Multiple what? Data sets. Take note of this. The data set here represents what? Table is equal to table. So now that you understand that, let me proceed. So now I have three different data sets, the Amazon data, maybe the salary payroll, and I am asked to load them what? In my workbench, where I can write my SQL what? Query statement to draw insights from there. But at first, I need to create what? Database that they are coming into. Now, you can write, go back to your note. Database in workbench can be created using two methods. Database in workbench can be created using what? Two what? Methods. Number one method, using syntax. Number two method, using the application tab button. So I'm going to take all the two of them rather. So let me start with what? How to create database using syntax. How to create database using what? Syntax. How to create database using syntax. Are we together? Now, step number one, open the workbench, which we have opened now. Open the workbench. And go to File, select New Query tab if it has not been created. Go to File and select New Query tab if it has not been created. Now I have my what? Query editor already. Now, where you have the cursor blinking, you write. The next step, write an SQL query statement that automatically creates the database. Write an SQL query statement that automatically creates the database. So I want you to pay attention now. When I'm done writing, you can write it and then implement as well. The database. So now you have to stay on the screen. Let's see how I'm going to create it. In SQL, they what we call comment. Remember that even in Python, I think what comment, right? What did I say comment are in programming? What is comment? Let me know whether you are sitting there. What is comment in programming? That is used for what? For like, I told us then that comments are programming narration. They are write-up, which are non-executable by the program. They are only there to guide you, to explain your code. So now I want to write comment. Comment in SQL is like this. Then you space. This is comment in SQL. Double hyphen. Hyphen, then space. That is how you write comment. Now, what I want to do here is that I want to use comment to describe the task I want to perform, which is what? Create a what? Database. That is using create database using syntax method. Now I'll go to the next line. Now, the first thing is for you to use, pay attention, to use SQL keyword for initiating database, which is called create. So create is a keyword. What is a keyword? Keyword is an inbuilt command. Yes, you can write it. Keyword, SQL keywords are inbuilt command or functions. They are what? Inbuilt what? Command. They are inbuilt command, which are used to task SQL to do something, which are used to task or query. You see it now? Which are used to task or query SQL to do something. So what's the syntax? Look at the syntax here. The syntax is create. I want to break it down for us. This creates is what? Is keyword, okay? Than inbuilt. Why this one is the second word? Keyword, word. But this is the name. This one is not keyword. I'm the one that supply what? This as the name of what? My database. Database what? Name. Then notes. At the end of notes, go back to your notes. At the end of writing SQL query statement, always end with semicolon. At the end of writing SQL query statement, always end with semi-colon to indicate the end, to show that what? You have terminated it. So I want you to write, copy the whole of this. This is the what? The syntax for creating. Right. Just copy create database. Wait. Yes. To indicate that you have terminated that line of code. So if you don't add it, if you run the next code, to assume that what? The other one is still running. And if the other one is still running, it will not allow what? The subsequent one to what? To run. Hello? Am I communicating? Now look up here, look up here. Now I want to copy this syntax. Copy it the way it is. That is the syntax for creating database. Create space, database space, then name of your database follows. Please don't use keyword to name your database. Hello? You cannot say your database name is database or is create. Any of the keyword cannot be used as the name of as your name of table, name of database. You can only use what? Word that is not keyword.
I'll say ash there.
Ash where? Here?
No. I'll begin before the create.
Here. Here?
Yeah.
This is not ash, this is dot.
Dot.
Yes. Indicating.
Just press enter.
No, what is say? I've not done anything though. I'm waiting for us to execute, because when you write SQL statements, even in Python, when you write code, you run, right? Yeah. So you must execute it. That's why I said the workbench allows us to write and execute. So what it has allowed us to do now is what? Just write. Now we want to execute. I just want to be sure that you have written it before I show how to execute quickly. Now, note, to execute, you see this icon here, to execute your SQL query statement. press Control plus Enter. Let's start with shortcut first. Press Control plus Enter. That is shortcut before I show us, because that Control plus Enter is the global method. Because if you are using some platform, you will not see this icon. Enter. Enter, yes. You hold down the control button and then you press what? The enter. Now, listen, the reason why I give out that shortcut, if you are running the one on website through the PHP My Admin, you are not going to see these two icons to execute, because Workbench is an application. That is why it offers us these two commands. So this one says that if you hover on it, you will see this one is for implementing, for running multiple lines of code at once, while this one is for running single line of code. Are you with me? If you hover on it, now look at this. Hover on the first one, what do you see? Execute the selected portion. That is if you have like 2-3 lines of code and you highlight them. Now, if you hover on the second one, what does it say? Execute the statement under the keyboard cursor. That means what? Look up. If I write another code here now, if my cursor is blinking on this line, and I want to run only the code on this line without running other, this is the one I will use. But if I have like 3-4 lines and I want to run all of them at once, I shouldn't use this one. I will use what? This, or the Control plus what? Enter. So let me press Control plus Enter. Now execute it. Can you see the result side now? Can you see the result side? What does it say? Mark, good. And what? It was successfully what? Executed. And what does it say? Create database what? NIT, 1 row. Now, the NIT is expected to show in your schema. Hello, because I said your schema represents what? Database, or the list of what? Database. So once you have created your database, it should be shown here. How do you show it? You see this icon here. It's called refresh. Once you refresh it, you see NIT is now listed here. Can you see it? Yeah. Now, 5 minutes break. Oh yeah, create the same thing. Quickly. I'm waiting for you now. How to database. Using what method now? Syntax method, right? Let's look at how to create database using Workbench command. How to create database using Workbench command. So most people that struggle with the syntax, they fall back to this option. Now, what are the steps you have to follow? Look up. You see, this is the global what? This is the global symbol for database. Can you see it? Can you see this icon? So your first step, look at this. Can you see my cursor first? Can you see my cursor?
Yeah.
Now just take note of the movement. Can you see it? Yes. That's the global what? Database icon. So if you want to use Workbench, step number 1, click on the database add icon, which is this. So watch what happened. Now, the moment I click on it, it's open up what? A form that should type the name of what? My database. So I can say what? NIT2. NIT what? 2. And then all I will do is just to select what? Apply. And then apply. Then, okay. Now, if I remove here and refresh, you can see that what? I don't need to refresh. It's already added. Did you understand it? So this is the application method. So just quickly do it for 1 second. It shouldn't take time. Have you clicked?
The icon.
Okay, so let me proceed. Is the fourth one, So you should know the global icon for database. So once you click on it to open a dialog box, write the name of the database. Make sure it's not the name of any of the existing database. And just click on apply. Once you select apply, it will show you the code that it wrote in order to create it. Can you see that code? Wait first. Can you see that code? That's the syntax you wrote now when you were creating with syntax. I thought about the word schema means what? Database. So next time you can say create schema instead of what? Create what? Database. Go ahead. And then click on apply. Then go ahead. We are not fast. Then I will accommodate them. Just want to do that. All right. Okay, now let's go back to our notes. So the next thing I want to show is what? How to select or use database. How to select or use database, because any database you want to load data in, you must select it. You must what? Use it. How to select or use what? Database. So I want us to pay attention here on the screen. Supposing the reason why I created the database is for me to load my data set into it, right? Now, I must make sure that what database is active before I put the data inside. Because the moment I want to bring the data, it's going to ask me, which active database is it going into? So you will not expect SQL to know that it should go into what? NIT or NIT2 or Prosper or Sakila. So you must tell SQL which one exactly should I impute or import the data set into. The one, how you know which of them is active, the one that is bolded here. So out of all these database, which one is used now? Customer. Right? Now, once I execute the command I want to write now, customer will no longer be bold. Another will be selected. Let's assume the task here, I'm using comment. The task is what? Use or select NIT data what? Base. Not set. Database. We have not come to that here. Are you with me? Now, this is the code. You simply type use followed by the name of the database, NIT. Then, remember I said you should always end with what? Semicolon, right? Then, if I control enter, which one is now highlighted? It's no longer what? Customer. Now, it means that right now we are in which database? We are in NIT. So if I bring in any data set, that data set is going into where? NIT. So quickly. Oh yeah, let's try that. I will be allowing us to be doing how to or use what? Database, right? So at the end of it, you write the syntax I use. What's the syntax? Use space, the name of what? Database. So just to explain one more time, if I want to use Pro, let's say I want to switch from NIT to what? Pro. So I'll also do what? Use what? Pro. And then end it. So if I press Control Enter, so now I'm in what? Pro. I'm in Pro. So I want to go back to, I want to convert this to comment. Look up. How do you convert live code to comment? You just come before the first letter, add the two hyphen and space. So I have automatically what? Converted this live code to what? Comment. So if I run now, if I run this line now, so I've gone back to what? NIT. So the next topic is what? How to load data set into the use database. How to load data set into the use database. Any question first? Any question? How to load data sets into the selected or used database. Because right now I just use NIT. So I want to load some data that I'm given to analyze as a data analyst into the database. Are you with me? Now, note, the data set must be in CSV or SQL format. The data set must be in CSV or SQL format. So if your data set is not in CSV, what do you think you're advised to do? You implement your Excel skill, how I taught us how to do what? Switch from pure Excel format to what? CSV. So for example now, let me deliberately do that. So I have a folder here. I hope I should find it easily. I have a folder here that contains the data I want to load in. Just pardon me to take some time. I'm looking for data analytics online training in case you can find it before me. I have, no, it's not this one I want to use. Okay, online data analytics. So now, let me open one of these Amazon data first. So in other words, I want to prepare the data to suit the format what Workbench can what read. So I will load it, open it with Excel to find out the format it is. So definitely for it not to have the A, it means that what? It is not a CSV what? Format. What is the full meaning of CSV again? Comma what? Good. Now, I want to use, this is the data. So let me quickly copy it to a new sheet. A new sheet and save it as what? CSV. Then I load it in my SQL. Okay, so now this data set is in worksheet format. So how do I change it to CSV? I'll go to File, select what? Save as. Then choose where I want to save it on desktop. And then when it opens up the dialog box, this is where I will know the what? The file type. So I have to change it from here to what? CSV, which is this format here. CSV UTF what? That is Unicode Transform Formatting what? 8 version. Then I'll give it a specific name. So let's say what? Data. Sorry, let's say what? Amazon. Amazon. Then save it. Saved. Now I quit. Now I'll go back to my workbench. The first thing I'm going to do is to change the limit. There is a place where you can constrain the volume of data you can load in here. For example, if you say limit to 10 rows, it means that what? Only 10 record data sets you can load in. Are you with me? But there is an option that they have added now that say what? Do not limit. That is what? Bring any what? Volume. But if your data set is within any of these, because there are times that when you install your workbench, it might be on what? 5,000 rows, which means you cannot load beyond what? This. But I will put it on what? Do not limit. No matter how voluminous the data is, bring it in. So once I've ensured that setting, and I've already what? Go into the what? The database I want to use. Now watch out the steps now. The steps now. What's the topic again? How to load what? Data set, right? What are the practical steps? Number one, right-click on the table under the selected database. I want you to write and observe what I'm going to do now. Right-click on the tables, or table, under the selected database. Under the selected database. Under the what? The selected database. Now look up. You see, for every database you select, we have some structure already made there. We have tables, we have view, we have store procedure, we have what? Function. Are you with me? No. So which one did I say you are using whenever you want to load data? Because the data set is a table. I said it before, right? So you right-click here. Once you right-click, you will see an option that says what? Table data what? Import wizard. That's your next step. Right-click and select table data import wizard. Right-click and select table data import wizard. Are you with me? Now let's look up. So once I click here now, it's going to open what? A dialog box, providing me what? Browse, which means that what? I want to collect what? A file, right? So your next step, click on browse to select the file or the data set. Am I communicating? Now let's go there. Now look up. Remember that I stored that data in what? Desktop, right? So I'll click on desktop to view the list of information I have there. So I'm looking for Amazon. I think it's this one. And it's already in what? CSV. Now select the name of your data, click open, then you go to view the what? The URL here. So once you can view the URL, click on what? Next. Okay. Now, the moment you click on next, there are options prompted. One, and these options, look at what describe them. Select destination table and additional what? Option. Under this, please stay on the one that says create new table. Because select the option that says what? Create new table. Now I want to pay attention here. Pay attention here. Pay attention here. Which database name is showing here? Why is NIT showing? If you have not used, you have not selected it. So this is a confirmation that this data set is going into what? NIT database. Now use existing table. Look up, look up, look up, look up. This option should not be considered, but it can be considered where you have already created table under the database before coming here. That means you are saying that what? The record in Amazon should be poured into what? Already made what? Table. But in this case, we just created database. We did not create table. So that is the reason why we are not going here. Okay? Now, in case to override, the word drop means delete in SQL. Whenever you see drop, it means what? To delete. So which means that what? In case there is any other table named Amazon in this database, as this one is coming in, delete it. But if you are sure that you don't have any table there, then you can leave it what? Unchecked. So it's actually created to handle overriding what? Issue. Now I'll click on next. The moment I click on next, it will call the columns, data type, and their preview. So this is the record, right? So this is just like, this is what you want to bring in. Is this actually the record? Then if it happened to be the record, you select what? Next. Then look at it here. Once you click on next, it will now tell you that what? Two operations will take place. The first one is what? It will prepare the import. And the second one is what? It will now import what? The file. Okay? You cannot check it. It's just alerting you that this is what will be happening so that you can wait. So once I click on next, so it's already what? Performing. So you hold on. So the step you need to write is just the first two steps, because even from here, once you see this environment, you know what to do. So both of them, look at it. The data set is successfully what? Once these two options are marked good, it means that what? You have successfully what? You are good to go. So I click on next, finish. Now the data is there. Okay. Now please watch out something here. Under this customer database, you can see this arrow, right? But under the same table, but here, can you see the arrow here? Which means that what? You have not added data. That is why it's not showing. Now, I have to refresh. Now, if I refresh now, once I refresh, I want to look here again. Is the arrow there now? Good. That means that what? Is an indication that what? That data, that there is table. Now, we will not write SQL query statement to view the table. Right, that's the next step now. But before that, let me pause here. We are loading your data quickly. I'll start from how to write SQL query statement to display lists of tables in a database. The next, please, can somebody help me with the next topic? Let me use comment also. I said how to what? How to write SQL query what? Query statements to display lists of tables in a database. Please, let's concentrate, please. So the syntax is you just write show tables. Listen. Because if you start from here, you may not get it. The first thing is to specify which of the database you want to see the list of tables inside it. So for example, now, I ought to have written use what? I want to view database in what? Sorry, table in what? NIT, right? So after writing this, to be sure that I am in what? NIT database, then inside this, I want to know the tables inside it. So I will say what? Show tables, as in S should be there. Show tables. That is the query statement. Show table. So if I press Control Enter, what did you see here? It outputted that what? What did you see here? How many tables are there? Amazon, right? Yeah. Good. So what are we speaking now? Which language did I spoke now that brought this? So you cannot claim that you know SQL when you cannot write query statements to perform a task. Okay? So these are the kind of tasks we'll be writing if I'm given a data set and it's okay. In this data set, how many female records are there? I will write what? SQL what? Query statement. Run it, get the answer, document it. Take the next question. So write the syntax. So the next one, I'm going to run like 3, then I will now allow us to particularize them. So the query statement syntax is what? Show table. Now, if I want to write, the next one is what? Write. So this is the next topic now, right? Write SQL statements to display all the records in the table called what? Amazon. Because the name of the table is what? It's called Amazon. So we are asked to view, okay? So we are asked to view the records inside that table. Are you following? You have displayed that, oh, there is one table called what? Amazon. Now you want to see the record inside so that you can draft your analysis questions. Because until you see the record, you will not know how many headers are there, and you are not going to know what? How many rows are there. So to view, the syntax is what? Select. Remember the other time when I was jumping here, when I was looking at, when we jumped to what? Select. And it said what? To retrieve. So here, we're going to use select. Select, I will interpret this. Select, because we are going a little bit complex now. Select, the question says view all, right? In as much all is there, asterisk means all. Asterisk, like this. In SQL means what? All. Which means that what? Select all. Are you with me?
There's space before the asterisk.
Yes, there's space. Select all from. You must find the location. So the select and the from, they are both what? Keyword. One is to retrieve, one is to specify the location where the records are coming from. That is the reason why you run that first one, so that you know the name of the table. Because if you are running this after from, what follows? The name of the table. Where are the records coming from? I will now look at what I just attributed. What? Amazon. Then, of course, I must what? End it with what? Semicolon. That is the syntax. So if I run it now, Control Enter, watch now, look at it. Automatically, I have what? Call out all the record. Are you with me? So The next command I want us to write is, look at this. This command now displays all record, right? What about if they say that, if you check this record now, how many records are there? How many records? I think there'll be about 15, by about 150. Let me check here. This is about 102 what record, right? You check. So we have about 102 records. Now, supposing you are asked to display only the first 40. Do you get it now? We want to see only the first 40, or the first 20, or the first 10, or only the first 5. Probably the analysis insight we want is within what? The first 5. Or the name of the customer we are looking for is within the what? The first 5. So that will take us to the next query statement we want to write, which is what? Write SQL query statement to display limited record. Right? SQL query statement. To display limited records in a table. In a table. Right? SQL query statement to display what? Limited records in a table. So for example, now we are displaying what? Let's say what? First. Let's say first 10 record. First 10 record. Are you following? So the syntax will be, look up here. The syntax will be select asterisk, which means what? All. Look up. You can break it. You can write all your code in straight line. You can also break them. That's what I want to show us now. So it's not compulsory that all the code must be on one line. So select from. So from can come what? The next line. From, then the table name follow in one line. The table name is what? That's what? Amazon, right? Then, if you are going to the next line, look at it. It is when you are finished writing that you put that semicolon. Because everything is assumed to still be in one line. So now, select from Amazon. The keyword, remember we are selecting only, or the first 10, right? The keyword is what? Limits. You bring limit, you say 10. Before you now close, see the command now. That limit means what? Select all the record and stop at what? 10. Are you following? Now let me run it now and see. Control Enter. What did you see? Let me scroll here and check. We have just what? We have just 10 because of the heading. I believe so. So if I increase here now to like 20 and run, so let's check now. We have what? So it's adding 1. It's adding 1.
The heading is
yes, that heading is what is, because it's like counting it. So that heading now making it what? 21. Are you following?
Why do we all have the it has the ID number? No.
Yes, now that is data set.
Oh.
So write down the syntax. Let me do more before you practice at once. So write this syntax. Have you written it? Have you written it? Now the next one is that look up here. The next selection. All these are query statements you can actually use to find out certain things from data. For example, now you have a reason why you ask for the first 20. Maybe there is an argument or there is a particular customer you are looking for, and you know that that customer will be within what? The first 10. So you can just call it so that you can find out. There might be other reason. Good. Now, every query statement we have executed so far from record selection has been calling all the headers. Now, I want to execute either this one, but it will call out only what? It will call out only country item type. So I don't want to be seeing what? Or let's start from, I want to call out only values in what? Country. From the whole of this data set, I want to see only record in what? Country. So which means that what? I don't want to see any other ones. Item type, say channel, down to profit. I don't want to see it. So how do I write SQL query statement? That is condition. So we are bringing where clause here. But we can use the same logic. Let me use this comment to also write it. Write it in your note. Write SQL statements to display or fetch only records in country or only country header. So the syntax is select, look up now, select, look up, select. Now you not say all first. You say select. I'm not following. Select. You will call the name of that header. The way it's written, start with capital letter, right? Country. You can see that I did not use what? All. I did not use that asterisk. Did you get it? I just said what? Select. If I want to select one now, it's just one. That is the reason why I'm not putting what? Asterisk. Then I will say what? From the table name, which is what? Amazon. So if I run it, look at it. So it brings out what? Only what? Country and each value from the entire what? Data set. So I have my reason as a data analyst, maybe because I want to check, okay, now I want to check. I can easily check. It has what? Side what? Scrolling. That is for one header. If it is two header, that is another selection. Make sure you are writing them down because once I go for break now, you will run all of them. So the next one is what? The next task is write SQL statements or query statements to display or fetch only country, and item type. So we are displaying two now. This is for if it's what? More than one, right? Item type, sorry. So instead of selecting one, we are selecting two. So the syntax will be select, you mentioned two of them, use comma to separate them. So the first one is what? Country, comma, followed by what? Item type, the way it is in the data set.
No space.
No space. Item. I don't know whether the item is, I think there's underscore type. So let me be sure that the header, use your own to check because I've already cleared my. How is it written? You must follow the case. It's case sensitive. How is it written? Item type, item underscore type now. I think that is right.
There's no underscore. It's capital I-T-N space type.
Okay, don't worry. My own I put underscore because it's like I've edited the data. Now let me go on from. Don't worry. If it's not correct, it will throw error. Then from what? The same what? Amazon. So if I run, so it's here. My own underscore is in my own. Maybe you have not edited your data. I know I must have edited it when I was working in Python. And that is why I'm having the underscore. So, but things like this, good. Your own now might throw error. So you might have to go back to the data and format where you have multiple words, put underscore in that data, then save it before you bring it here. So it's part of the preparation because SQL will not read the data type between the space in between those two words. Are you with me? Good. So now I have called this now. So write this syntax down. So if I want to call 10 of them, I'll do what? I will just put comma. The last one before the from, don't put comma. After the last one, no comma. Just call as many as possible you want to select from the data set. And then follow by the name of what? Your data set name. So let me give us 10 minutes to, or let's say 5 minutes to. So let's quickly look at let's look at SQL selection query statements with condition. SQL selection query statements with condition. So the kind of question here with condition using where clause. Using where clause. So most time we have where clause. Where that is WH, yes. Using where clause. Now, this one is very important to us as data analysts because sometimes we cannot do selection analysis without using this. So let me use comment. So this is just like a new topic. Under it, we have different ways of selecting. Single criteria selection, using condition, multiple criteria selection, using the same word, where clause. Now, so let me tag it what? Conditional. Conditional what? Query. Selection. Conditional query selection. So what is the first task here? The first task is, let me view the data set again. There's a place where I ran the code just to view only the data set. So you can see the benefit of this one now. Now, I've written all this code, but I want to come back to display this. I don't want to rewrite it. Remember that this code allows us to view all the record in the table, right? So I can just come here, instead of me using control enter, which will run all the code. I want to run only this line. I'll make sure that my cursor is blinking there and then use this option. So if I run it, you can see that what? It brings out what? The record. Now, why I display this is for me to know the analysis question that I want to answer with the where clause. So from this data, we are asked to display all the record where country is equals to value. That is what the only record you're going to see after running the statement, they are record from where? From to value. That is conditional selection. Let's write it down. Fetch all record or fetch all record equals to value country. Let's say what? Fetch only records where country is to value. Where country is to value. Wow. So now, look up, the syntax is the pay attention. After this, we are closing. So the syntax is select all from, are you with me? From now. I would like to I don't know why you are writing. No, you are I say pay attention. When I'm done, I'll allow you to write. Select all from. I'm using as. I'll tell you what I want to do with as. That is what the answer. Okay, no, we cannot use it here because when we get to the one we are going to do next week. Select all from the Amazon, right? Yeah. The Amazon. I'll go there. Where, this is the keyword now. Where, this is where you are bringing the condition. Where the name of the column that have the value you are looking for, which is what? Country, right? Where country equals to, you select that country to value, right? Equals to what? To value. To value, the first letter is capital letter. To value. Then you end it. Okay, now, what it means is what? Select all record from Amazon first, then before the condition is applied. After selecting all, then you are going to display only country equals to what? To value. Then I can now what? End it. So if I run this code now, what will happen? There are only two. To value. Then you write your observation as a data analyst that there are only two words, transaction that happens in where? Into value. Let's say the boss wants to know how many records were captured from this country. There is a decision that he wants to, maybe want to invest, and he wants to even know what is even happening there. So let me run this code to know how many of them. I'll tell you what, there are two. Or maybe he wants to compare to value and one other country. Then you want to know which country has what? More. So let me go back here and run this. I don't want to start writing, so I'll run only this code to bring back all the value. So I will say, okay, I want to compare to value and what? Maybe Russia. I want to compare both of them. Are you getting the logic? So depending on what you are looking for in your data. So now we have already outputted the value for what? To value. And we must have noted it down that what? There are two. So let me rerun it again. So there are two. Now I want to run for, run same, just to save my time, for what? For Russia, right? For Russia. Want to compare. So what will I do? I will say select again, select. You can see SQL is very sweet. I don't know. I prefer all this one than not those. The only challenge I have with SQL is the visualization. That is a graph. If it's all this kind of selection, aggregate selection analysis, sharp. You can see the way it's fast. It's not wasting time. It's not loading. Now, select all from. Remember I said you can write everything on the same line, right? But I want to break it. Then where the same country, right? The same country is equals to string, equals to what? Russia, the way it's spelled in the data. And then end it. So once you see this, it says something. That what? Let me see what it says. Eh? Okay, good. So I have to put what? The data I'm talking about. Sorry, where this, select this, where this. From Amazon. So once you see that red, always check. There must be an issue somewhere. So if I run this now, this one is just one. It's just one. So to value is even doing better than the Russia. Now, this is for one condition. Now, it can go on and on. Let's do for multiple conditions. So the question is that, let me call back this so that we'll take this one before I allow us to practice. Look at this. Now, the question is, we are selecting using multiple criteria. the one we just did now, we selected based on only one criteria, which is what? Country. Country was the criteria for the selection. Now, if I am asked to select where the total profit, that the issue I have here now is that are they together? There's no I think there's space between what total and what profit. But let me see how I'm going to show us a technique how you resolve it. Now the question, I'll write it down. The question is what? Select record. Select record. Select record. Let me see. I want to look at. Select item type. Yes, select item type where total profit is greater than, let's look at the values we have here. Where total profit is greater than 900,000, or let's say 22,000. What do we have here? Let's look at these values. These values are high. Okay, this is 200. Okay, where total profit is greater than 200,000. Good. So the company wants to know how many record where total profit is greater than what? So now let's write it. Let me put it in writing. So before that, let me indicate the kind of selection I'm doing here. This is what? This is multiple query selection. So now, what is the question again? Select or display only item, right? Item type where what? Where total profit is what? Where total profit is what? Greater than what? 200,000. Now, why I am using this now? Because the criteria we used in selecting last time was text, country. Now, if it is number, that's what I want to show us now. Good, so that you know how to go about it. So it's the same, this is the same single criteria, but the only thing is that the criteria for the selection is number. It's not what? Text. So I will say what? Select all from Amazon where total profit. Now, because that total profit is 2 words and there is no space in between them, right? I will use this bracket, selection bracket to select it. Where total profit, let me put it here. Where total profit, what is the case? The first one is the first letter. Please let me check. Total and the space. Profit. Check the case for me, please.
Capital letter C.
Capital letter what?
C. Capital.
Okay, now we are not going to use this. We are going to use inverted comma. There is an icon. There is a kind of icon under escape, a kind of slanted quote. Are you seeing it? We call it inverted quote. Good. So that is what, it's not the straight one. No. Now, whenever you have space in between the header you are selecting, you enclose it what? That inverted. So you now say what? Equals to, then I can now do what criteria? Sorry, I will not use equals to because the statement say greater than, right? So I'll bring in what? Greater than operator, right? Then specify what? The value. This is an integer. In Python, we don't quote number, right? Good. So 200,000, don't put comma, 200,000. Is that 200,000? Okay. Now, before you end it. So if I run my code now, none of them. Are you sure?
No, because you didn't put.
You don't put the.
You didn't end the Amazon.
Type. You put the item type.
Select from Amazon.
Okay. From where?
Select from Amazon. You didn't put semicolon.
Is that the? I don't think that is the issue. The issue is what he's saying. We did not put the item type for the selection because our target is because we did not specify the criteria. So we say what? Select from. Okay, now it means that we have to put what? Item type here as header, just like that single header, right? So remember how we type it? Item what? Underscore what? Type. Am I communicating? Now, if I run it, okay, sorry, that is not it. I think let's consider what Oga was saying. Now, 200,000. So now what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to make it two criteria before I can get a meaningful value. Okay. So I'll say where item type first. Where item type, thank God that item type, there is underscore in between, right? So there's no need of me using that inverted comma. Then equals to, let's say, let's use that. We have baby food, have it? Let me check. Call one of the name of item type for me. Baby food, how is it spelled? B-B-A-B-Y. Is space? There's space, have it? And the space, there's no underscore, have it? So, okay, it can go. Eh? Okay, let me use Siri, have it? Though we are supposed to know it too. In case, yes, so because if that is not what you are asked to do in your office, you cannot say you want to go and use Siri. So, baby food, the F is capital letter, right? Now, why we are not going to have issue because it's already in quotation. So it's not going to be an issue because we're already quoting it. Then we now say what? And you see it now, when you want to go multiple criteria, you put and. Just like Python now, and, right? For Python, we're using that symbol. So and total what? Total profit. There's space, have we? Total profit. Now remember that since there's space, I have to use that inverted what? Comma, so that it's not through error. Greater than what? Greater than what? 200. 2, right? And then before I end it, now if I run my code, it's still showing error. So which means that it's possible that this criteria is not met. There's no baby food. Normally, when you see it calling all the header without calling the value, it means that what? It does not mean that the function is wrong. It means that what the criteria is not met.
We can reduce it to 50,000.
50,000, so that we know whether we have value within that. Let's see what 50,000. 50,000. Now let's go check manually on the data set so that we know if we have. We have
100 naira or 50 naira.
100.
What unit cost?
It's total profit that we are talking about. The values under total profit. When you trace baby food, what do you have?
We have one that is 951,000.
There are more, have we? So let's see where item type is equals to. Okay, you know what? Give me header that does not have 2 words. Let me see whether that is. No. Header, like total, or that have just one, that have numbers under it. That have just 2 words. 2 words like it, just, sorry, one word rather, right, instead of 2.
Oh.
There's not.
There's probably the region.
Okay, now let me do equal to. Let me use equal to, whether we get a value. Equal to. You say we have equal to. Call that value for me. That 900 what? We have value. You call what 900?
951.
951. I mean
410.5.
410.5. Just want to use to verify something. To call it, so you do not still call it. So run it on your own. Let's see. Run the same command. Let me know whether